In this second half, we're turning our attention to the critical role public-private partnerships and corporate social responsibility play in driving national development in Nigeria. As our nation continues to navigate the complexities of economic growth, poverty reduction and sustainable development, it's becoming increasingly clear that the private sector must continue to play a vital role in complementing government efforts. And we've seen that play out in developed countries like Sweden, for instance, where I'm sure you know the public-private partnerships there have had significant impact and been very instrumental to driving innovation, entrepreneurship and social progress. Joining me today to help see development through the lens of social investment is Odunayo Sawyer, a CSR and public-private partnership expert. Ms. Sawyer is the Executive Director, MTN Foundation. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Femi, for having me.
Happy New Year.
The same to you.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, is there a secret to looking this young when I'm 52?
Wow. I'll tell you the secret after
Okay,
the show.
awesome. You don't want to share with them?
No.
So I saw your foundation, Clock 20, recently. And, you know, I was there and I saw a lot of very impactful things you've done, no doubt. But, you know, there are some who would say, it's MTN after all. So, you know, they are making all the money. They should also make as much impact. I'm wondering how you react to, you know, thoughts like that, that the initiatives are merely a drop in the ocean and that you're obligated to actually give back because of your size and your influence.
Well, yes, people make those comments. And what I tell them is that companies have no obligations to, you know, do CSR. At the foundation, we call it, in MTN, we call it CSI because they are investments. However, a company that understands the reason why it's in business, understands the reason why it must give back to the communities it operates in. And when people say that, you know, it's a function of, the foundation is just one part of MTN. Virtually everything MTN does is almost like a CSI. You know, I could go on and reel out a lot of other things that we do that doesn't necessarily sit under the foundation. But at MTN, we're driven by core belief that everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected life. And the connectivity is way beyond data, voice, as we know it. Is about recognizing our role in being custodians of power that can enable people connect with their own aspirations. So you'll find that in a lot of other things that we do in the company.
I had a CEO once said, we're not doing CSR because it's a noble deed. We're doing it because the sustainability of our business relies on it. So what's the philosophy these days? Doing good or a business model?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword. And when you do one, it leads to the others. Now, business has matured over the years, even, you know, thought leadership in business. And, you know, it started from business is about, the only thing a business does is to make profit. But as businesses also relooked, you know, their essence, their meaning, they realized that it was important for them to be active participants within the communities that they operate. And so we started having theories like the triple bottom line theory that talks about the people, the planet, and then the profit. And there's the donut economics, and I could go on. But all is just saying that, you know what, for us to thrive as a business, our communities must thrive first.
Indeed.
Because you see, as a business, when your community is thriving, you hire from that community. You are a part of that community, you know, and so by moving the community forward, you are inadvertently really moving
and it is also good business
forward.
It is good business for you because these days they say customers place premium on spending money on businesses that do CRS.
Oh yes, customers, investors, and even prospective customers. And by prospective customers, I mean the very young generation. A survey was done, and you know, people in the university, and the feedback was that they would buy from a company, a business that gives back to the society, that is not just about profits. And I see that in my home. my children don't buy certain things because they'll tell you, Mommy, you know, it seems there was a news around child labor, around this and all of that. So really, that's what it is.
What's your evaluation as an expert in the industry of the current state of CSR in Nigeria and how it compares with global best practice?
In Nigeria, we're not doing badly, I must say. You have a lot of CSR initiatives. Permit me to use CSI, you know,
okay.
That's what I see it as.
Okay.
We have a lot of CSI initiatives that have really, really contributed to Nigeria achieving or recording some form of achievement when it comes to the Sustainable Development Goals. And really, the SDGs are not just about the United Nations. They're just a framework for development for any country that really wants to, you know, do well by its people and all of that. So in Nigeria, it's also come a long way. It's come from our social responsibility has come from even, you know, the little things we do in our families where someone pays the school fees of others. That's something socially responsible within your family. Now, bringing it to business, you find that CSR has contributed through youth development, women entrepreneurship, and, you know, education in ensuring that a lot of things happen. And I can give you a few examples from the foundation. So for us at the foundation, we envision a Nigeria where no community is left behind, and we know we can't do it alone. But some of the things we do, over like 15 years, we've continued to give scholarships to young Nigerians studying STEM subjects and blind Nigerians in public universities. And you've seen what we've also done beyond just giving the scholarships is to give them an edge by the time they get into the labor market. So right now, they have access to leverage certain certifications from Microsoft and Coursera, fully paid for by MTN through the foundation. And they earn the certifications and they are better off. They have few opportunities for internships. And that's building a well-rounded individual, and then it can function better when they get into the labor market. And I could go on. We also have interventions in healthcare.
No, you'll come back to talk about that when you pay for it. But I'm wondering what you think, because earlier on you mentioned that your business is not obligated to do it. Some would say that's not how it is in developed countries, that perhaps we need a more robust regulatory framework. Imagine if every multinational in Nigeria is doing what you are doing. Imagine how much relief it will bring to government, but much more impact that it will have on our people.
Yeah, but one thing you need to understand is that it's a journey. So when I say the business is not obligated, what I mean is it takes a business really looking inwards and saying, we want to do this. And I'll still use MTN as an example. This journey started in 2004. Even in developed countries, there are organizations you call B Corp, benefit corporations. It's not every organization that is a member. So it's difficult to compel CSI. I think what needs to be done is to give people reasons why, to give organizations reasons why they should do that and how it positively impacts.
Instead of compelling them to do it.
Yes, their business. And how can that be done? The government can come up with incentives for companies that do, you know, actively participate in the CSI space. Incentives like tax incentives. And, you know, you recognize such companies, and everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to be seen to be adding value beyond profits back to the community. So I say it's a journey. And I believe that, you know, as many organizations watching will find a reason, you know, to really, you know, jumpstart CSI.
I'm wondering what the current status is with government involvement. Do you get from incentive from government because of what you do?
What I would say is that we have partnerships with the government. So we run, and I know a few other foundations or CSI, corporate organization-owned CSIs that partner with government. So there's partnership, there's the private-public sector partnership, especially in the areas of health and also youth development. So, you know, coming together, brainstorming policy-wise, and also actual implementation, having boots on ground to implement these things.
How do you think businesses can identify areas of impact? You know, taking Nigeria, for example, because it's beyond just doing something. It's doing something sustainable and something that you can get good feedback that it's actually having impact.
So I think, and forgive me, I'm not paying this money, but I will still use MTN Foundation as an example. For us, it's critical, and I believe for every organization, we look at what we do through the lens of the UN SDGs and Nigeria's national priorities, which really, if I have to mention three things, would be around health, education, and maybe community development. And so we look at this, and through that, we've been able to establish that that's how we can contribute, you know, to government's efforts, because the government can't do it alone. Sometime last year, I listened to the Deputy Secretary General of the UN, our own Mrs. Amina Mohammed, say that Nigeria needs $10 billion annually to, if we're to even scratch the surface of the SDGs. The government alone will not do that. And so for every organization, look at the SDGs, because it's a fantastic framework, and then look at the national priorities of Nigeria. Now, there's the other debate. I hope I'm not preempting you, but there's the other debate around, should you do CSI in your own...
where your business is located.
Yes, or beyond the location. Should the scope of your CSI, should it cover your area of expertise? So if, you know, if you're a health organization, do your CSI only in health. And nothing is cast in stone. You can decide to do it where you have area of expertise, but you can also decide to do it, you know, aligning with the national priorities. Because for MTN Foundation, we largely we don't restrict it to technology or communications. It's much more beyond that.
Full disclosure, I think I'm a beneficiary of that. With the MIP project, I think it's fantastic. About 20 of us, Nigerian journalists, were taken to South Africa last year. We were at the Pan Atlantic University for about 6 months. It's personally the best I've had yet. So I'm hoping that you guys will continue that.
Yeah, we should. And you know, the good thing is, when you look at that, we're not a news company, we're not into that. But
exactly.
Like I said, we believe that, you know, everyone deserves the benefits of a modern connected life. The illumination you got, I'm sure has impacted yourself, your family, and your colleagues. And that's why I say in MTN, and I dare say a lot of other corporate organizations, a lot of things here and there really is CSI.
Indeed. So how do you think startups and small businesses can get on board? Is this something you have to wait till you become a multinational, or you think you can, you know, begin to structure it even at the startup level?
You know, good you asked this question. I was on call with a former colleague of mine years back. We're colleagues, and we're talking, and she says she wanted to go into, you know, CSI. But the instructive thing about her own experience is that she's already doing it. She does it by herself, reaching out to people and all of that. So you don't have to be big. You don't have to be MTN or a very big organization. You don't have to be TVC to go to do some form of CSI. It should come naturally. And I believe that our DNA as Nigerians is that we're kind people. We empathize with each other. We want the other person to be better. So as a startup, understand from day one that as much as you're taking value from the environment, the community, you have to give back. Because one thing I didn't say earlier is that organizations need a social license to operate. And that social license you get by how important a place you have found in the community through what you do for them, not only what you take, you know, from them. So you don't have to be big. A small, and you do it by what you can afford to do. A small startup, how much of your maybe profit after tax can you set aside? If you're an education startup, do you want to create something free, you know, for young people, for them to learn and things like that? So it doesn't have to cost an arm and alleged.
So you've spoken about how you ensure your initiatives align with the needs of local communities, contributing to sustainable development goals. But how do you manage expectations in these communities? Because, like Oliver Twist, everyone wants more.
Yes, and that's why you have to do something called the gap analysis. You have to do a baseline. When you engage the communities, you go into a community and you see it, because we really go into the very remote areas of Nigeria, excuse me. You see it. They need water, they need light, they need healthcare and all of that. But you have to engage with them, and let them know. You also do a little bit of study to say what exactly is it that if you do for these people, it will turn the tide for them. And there are times they tell you, what you found out through your own assessment is not what they think is important to them. And that's where stakeholder management, comes in, and you're able to agree with them at times or help them to agree with you in as much as you can establish that the need exists. So I think doing a needs assessment, engaging first with the communities, because it's very important. Because you could do something there and they really don't appreciate it, not because they're bad people.
You can give them roads when what they want is water.
Yes. Or you can give them water when what they really want now is some maternal intervention in healthcare, in maternal healthcare. So you have to understand and carry them along, help them to own the interventions. Don't come at them like, the big brother, you're trying to save the world. Because at the end of the day, if they shut their community to you, that's it.
Sounds like you're saying every business should come on board, and we should all stop complaining about this government and see how we can help, right?
I agree. That's what it is. We need to, get a lot more corporate organizations to look into CSI, and they will really see the impact on their business.
Thank you so much for coming. Odunayo Soya is Executive Director, MTN Foundation.
Thank
Always
you very much,
a lovely time having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. All right, the conversation continues, everyone. What a month it's been. I've been on this show for about a month, but I've got good news. I saw Yori Folari, fondly called Uncle Yori, in the newsroom yesterday, and it looks like 10 years younger than his age. He's fired up, ready to resume on Monday, and I'm so glad to leave this show so I can get some rest. But I'll be back by 6 p.m. on Beyond 100 Days. Thank you so much for watching, and see you some other time. Bye for now.